Well, hello there, motherfuckers, and welcome to a review of Gorillaz Humanz, which is an album I tore apart the first time I looked at it on this channel, all the way back in last May. So it was about April 29th, if I'm remembering correctly, of 2017 when Humanz was released. It was the first Gorillaz album we were getting after 7 years since The Fall. Um, an album that a lot of people didn't like from them. But Human seemed like it was a reaction split down the middle. Many Gorillaz fans were pleased. Many people wanted to return to the sound of Plastic Beach. I was pretty much on that side of the equation. I wasn't happy with this. I was longing for the sound of Plastic Beach once more. And, I gave it pretty much a negative review. I called it garbage. If you look at the title of the, and I still put it up there, even though my opinion has changed. I still haven't taken it down. I haven't changed the title or anything because, we're all human beings and we all change our minds. So now, the Now is coming out. A new album about almost exactly a year after the release of Humanz. I am happy about this. I've listened to the tracks off of the Now. 3 songs have been released from it, and I have to say I like the initial presence of this album a lot better from these tracks. But there is an adjustment that I had to make when listening to Humanz. I didn't want to hate this album. I really didn't. So I went back and I listened to it multiple times. And I don't know if I was influenced by a friend, but he said, you should go back and listen to it again. My friend from work said, go back and listen. I was like, I don't like this album. There's only a few songs I liked. And, a lot of those songs are my favorites. And there are some that I actually really like now that I did not like in the past. So looking at a list right now, the ones right off the bat that I really enjoyed. Ascension, when the album started up, I was like, okay, I could get into this. I wasn't crazy about it, but I was like, this is okay. Moments was my favorite song for a while. Now that one's a little bit up in the air. I liked Charger when I heard it. I started liking Charger a bit more after the second listening. As you saw, I also did a second listening review of the album, and it was a bit more favorable than the first. I kind of had calmed down a little bit. And Andromeda is just a beautiful song. I think I had addressed that as well, that I liked that one. There's songs, though, that I wasn't too thrilled about upon first listen, such as Saturn's Bars and Submission and Busted in Blue. And also, I remember really hating the song Carnival. I thought that the song sounded terrible when I first heard it. And now I go back and listen. I don't know what it was. It was after the third or fourth listen, I really started to like this album a lot. And I was a bit surprised at myself. And trust me, I think you guys know from all the years on this channel, I'm not one that really goes with popular opinion. So it wasn't really so much. I was like, is this peer pressure? Or maybe because, I'm being told by a friend, that also has really good musical taste. I was like, maybe, there's something here that I'm just not seeing. And I guess that's what it was. Sex Murder Party's another one. Hallelujah Money was the song I was talking about. That was the first track release. I still say that out of all the tracks on this album, that is the worst one. And it's not even really that bad of a song. But Benjamin Clementine, I just wasn't really feeling him. Good voice and everything. But for a 7-year absence, to come back, why they wouldn't hit us with a song like Moments or Andromeda or at least Saturn's Bars, some song like that, it would have been a lot better. I don't know what they were thinking. I guess they really wanted to make a political statement. The 2016 election was coming around, and the band just kind of wanted to put, Damon wanted to put out his, the voice of 2D, wanted to put out his opinions on what was going on. in the US, and he just wanted to put that out there. But I was like, this was a very poorly conceived idea. It was a poorly conceived song, really. But it's really not that bad. It's not a good song, but for the most part, I really changed my opinion on it. It's not so terrible. But when I listen to this album, I usually let the song run. But really, in comparison to all the other songs, it really falls short. And why they picked that to be the debut track after that length of an absence, poor idea. Now, why did this album take so many listens to get me adjusted to it and get me more on the side of a favorable opinion? I don't know. There's something very odd about music like that. There's something, you're listening. I guess I was waiting to hear the Gorillaz I was familiar with. And then I kind of listened to this album now, and I find that it's not too different. That's the spooky part about it. When I first heard this album, I was like, this is not good. I don't like this at all. This is not what I want to hear. This is not Gorillaz. And many people were saying that too. And then I noticed a lot of people were even saying, well, they were telling me in comments, and, I was writing about this a little bit on Facebook about how I felt about the album. And people were saying, well, Gorillaz have changed a lot, actually. And this is very true. But I felt like this was more of a drastic change. But somehow, some way, after going back and, I was upset with this album. I wasn't happy. I waited a long time. I was excited for the release, even though I wasn't too thrilled with all the material. I remember even when Andromeda, I wasn't super thrilled with it. I was like, it wasn't the way when I had heard songs off of Plastic Beach where I had immediately taken a liking to them. I remember the first thing we heard off of Plastic Beach was what was the beat to Broken, and I was like, right away I was like, this is a great beat. I can't wait to hear the lyrics. And I thought maybe if it's just an instrumental, I was like, I'm fine with how it is. I just wanted another album at that point. But this album, it was a lot different. There were a lot of guest stars, and I guess that's really what it was. They started going in that direction though with Plastic Beach. There was just so many more, but I guess it really was a lot on Plastic Beach. I went back, and I guess that's also where my opinion changed a little bit after going back and listening to the previous 4 albums if you count The Fall, 5 if you count D-Sides. And like I said, D-Sides stands alone as a great album by itself. I love D-Sides. I think that is probably the best B-Sides album a group has ever put out. I mean, that's strong enough to stand alone as an album, even though some of the songs might have transformed into other songs on Demon Days. I was like, this is a really great B-Sides for some material that ended up on the cutting room floor. I was like, they sound finished, they sound polished, they sound really good. And I guess that's what it was about Humanz. A lot of the songs at first did not sound very polished to me. It sounded like they wanted to try to get as many features on the album as possible, even trying to get more than was on Plastic Beach. But I really listened. I was like, the first voice you hear on Plastic Beach is not 2D. You don't even hear Noodle on there. You hear Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg welcomes you to the world of Plastic Beach. And I was like, am I being a bit silly here? Because I'm complaining about features and the overabundance of features on Humanz, yet I'm a big fan of Plastic Beach. And I also remember that I liked half of the album on Plastic Beach, to the point when I was using an iPod at the time, that I had almost directly put 6 songs only on that iPod from that. And I remember I would cut out the Plastic Beach song. I was cutting out Sweepstakes and all these other songs that I actually liked now. And, because I only wanted to hear the Gorillaz songs. That's all I wanted to hear. And, and that was a lot like how it was. If you listen to my opinions on my initial review for Humanz, I was feeling the same way. All I wanted to hear was the Gorillaz. all I wanted to hear was the song just featuring the Gorillaz. And you know, the Gorillaz had always slowly eased us into features when you kind of see it. There was no features really on the original Gorillaz album, except for Clint Eastwood and Rock the House, where we, you know, where we heard that great rapper, always forget his name, the funky Homo sapien, whatever his name is, great performance on both of those tracks from him. But then, you know, we got into Demon Days, and we heard, you know, MF Doom was on there. We heard De La Soul and a few others. They, you know, but they never really got too out of control with the features. It just kind of seemed like, you know, there was more than was on the self-titled album, but not enough to feel like there's not enough Gorillaz on Plastic Beach. It was kind of like 50-50. And then we go to Humanz, and it's like almost every track has got a feature on it. You know, again, right away on the first track, the first voice you hear, well, you know, you hear Murdoch in the first track, as that's just an intro. But in the first real song, Ascension, you don't hear 2D again. You know, and that was the thing. You think about Gorillaz, the first time you boot up the album, you hear 2D. You boot up Demon Days, and, you know, you get the little intro, and then you get Last Living Souls, which is a Gorillaz song through and through. So, but to say that it's a Gorillaz song, you know, it's kind of a touchy subject, because it's like they had always done features up to this point. They eased us into it, but I think maybe it was too much. Even if we were eased into it, maybe it was too much. But now I don't feel it's too much. I could listen to this album. I have listened to this album at least a dozen times now since it's, you know, since it's been out, since its year lifespan so far. And I find new, you know, things to like about every track now. You've got Out of Body, which I had mentioned in my first review of the album. And that song has only gotten better over time. That's probably one of the most unique sounding tracks. An incredible track. We Got the Power. I don't know what it is. I didn't hear it the first time, but this is such an energetic, positive vibe song that really gets you going. And there's a few songs really that like don't feel as good as the others. The Apprentice is one of them, definitely. Like, it's an okay song, but it's not really up there with the others as being that great. What else can you really say is, you know, really I have to say there's not a lot of bad songs on here, really. You know, Strobe Light is a song that also kind of grew on me. Not a fantastic song, you know, definitely not. That's what I'm saying. I think maybe when this album kicks off, we kind of get the wrong picture of it. You know, we launch into Ascension, which is a good song. I really like that song now. Strobe Light, still a really good song, but maybe not the best. It's kind of like maybe a little bit of the wrong way to kind of start it out. But I'm looking at the now, and maybe I think, you know, now it seems like Damon really sees kind of like with the fans that they weren't happy with the way how that one turned out. There's still a lot of people don't like Humanz, dislike it. Unlike me, I was willing to give it a fair chance, and that's probably why I really wanted to like the album, and so I did. But is it maybe that the album is really not that great, and I kind of, just because I'm being such a big Gorillaz fan and I love the band that much, that I've kind of influenced myself into liking it? Is the album really trash like I said it was? Or, you know, is it really just a good album and it just took some time, like a lot of people were telling me that it was going to grow on me? I don't know how they knew that the first time the album was released. That sounds a little bit like BS. I mean, the album just came out, and you're saying that it needs to grow on me. You just listened to it probably as many times as I did, 1 or 2 times in May. So how could you possibly think that, you know, all it would need to do for my own personal opinion to just listen to a few, but they were actually right. That's what I can't believe. They were actually right. A few more listens, and I ended up liking the album. That really was incredible. I couldn't believe that they were right about that, but apparently so. Apparently they were right about that. So now I'm listening to the Now Now. And the song "Humility" is just great. Like I said, we got three tracks. Lake Zolric, and what's the other one right here? I'm trying to find a name for you guys because I recommend you go listen to them. Sorcerers. That's the other track, the most recent track they had released. All three of these sound really good. I've got a feeling that we're gonna probably get a better album than Humans. Even though, you know, and I think maybe this album is going to probably not be so much of a challenge to get into, probably due to it being more familiar territory without so many features, and there's not so many musicians bringing so many different styles to the table. Perhaps that was what it was that was throwing me off at the time. But I guess it being produced, they were really going to have to fit into the Gorillaz way of doing things anyway. But this probably seems like I think more fans could probably agree on what we're going to get here. Like I said, though, it was weird because when it came to the fall, I remember the first time listening to that album, I only found one song that I enjoyed. Then I went back years later, and it was actually right after I was annoyed at Humans. I went back and I listened to The Fall, and I fell in love with it. So it's weird how the mind works. We hear something at first, and it's like, oh, this is garbage. And then we go back and we listen to it again, sometimes after an extended period of time, like me with The Fall, and we find out that really it's a masterpiece. And The Fall is a really good album. It is a very strange album. It is an album that is... that one is very different than the other Gorillaz albums. There's so many instrumentals. There's so many weird things that Damon does with the vocals on those tracks, and so many different effects. Many people refer to it as the iPad album. I refer to it as a great album. I think it's a fantastic album, and so is Humans. So my opinion has changed. And basically, yeah, I'm going to just cap off things by saying I will be reviewing the Now on this channel. I see that a lot of people are asking me to do more music reviews, and if that's what you guys want, that's what I will be doing on this channel, and I'll try to do that more regularly for you guys. So hope you enjoyed this one. And yeah, I guess I'll see you guys for the Now review when that comes out at the end of this month. But there'll be many more videos before then. But, you know, that will be probably the next music review that I really feel like doing. So, anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed. Until next time.